UK Prime Minister David Cameron just upped the terror threat level to severe. I bet he's not clear about the source of the threat that we face.
Let's be clear about the source of the threat that we face. The terrorist threat was not created by the Iraq War 10 years ago. It existed even before the horrific attacks on 9/11 themselves, some time before the Iraq War. The root cause of this threat to our security is quite clear. It is a poisonous ideology of Islamist extremism.
I was wrong. He's as clear as Obama's schedule during golf season. Now compare and contrast Cameron to this.
Before getting to the strategy, though, there seems a fundamental existential question. Is the United States presently at war with ISIS? Yes or no?
Well, no, Chris.
The battle of the betas. So we're not at war with a group that's at war with us. Is it because we're at war with other stuff like coal, fracking, or obesity? No lie. Right now, the White House is giving free advice on packing your kid's school lunch. I get the gist of nutrition, but I can make a sandwich. I can't make a B-2 bomber. I can nuke a burrito, but I can't nuke ISIS. That's your job, Mr. President. But you seem at war with so many other things. Climate, carbs, caddies. Which is why, as an enemy chooses us, you choose a wedge. This indecision makes Hamlet look resolute. The fallout, while ISIS explodes, we ground our planes, Blackhawks, and delay our nukes. According to writer Matthew Continetti, the percentage of the economy devoted to defense is at pre-9/11 levels. We're turning from a lion to a lamb. The big stick, now a carrot stick. But when you have a White House more interested in tofu than terror, it's no surprise defense suffers. Perhaps Obama's best strategy is to beat holiday traffic for Martha's Vineyard. Because his ISIS strategy reeks. Because his priorities reek. Confronting radical Islam was never on his to-do list. If only they were Republicans. There's a plan. What if we hypnotize the president into thinking ISIS is the Tea Party? He'd nuke the whole lot of them. Bob, gratuitous golf jokes in there. I admit it off the bat. I did that especially for you. What did you make of David Cameron's strong words in comparison to President Obama? Obviously, that's the setup here.
Yeah, that's obviously. I don't know where to begin on that monologue.
But you've got to admit, strong guy.
Yeah, listen, Cameron, I liked Cameron because he was the first world leader to come out when the Muslims were killing Christians. Everybody else was afraid to say anything about it, and he was the first one out, and he took a lot of courage.
You did say that.
I did. That's right. And but also, look, it's a British guy who killed the journalist. So I think Cameron feels much more exposed. Now, Obama, and I'll say this one time, and you can argue with me all you want. If you look at the context, what he said was, on the serious side of things, he said, we are working on a strategy, but we haven't gotten there. We don't have a strategy. Right. Now, it's the wrong choice of words.
Right.
But nonetheless, the Syrian issue has not been resolved yet. They're debating internally. It will be. I think they'll bomb next week. But when he said that, I think I would have been clearer about that than he was. And so that's the cause of the problem. That and the 5, and you guys jumped on it.
Yeah. Casey, when President Obama saw David Cameron speak, did he just kind of shrink a little bit and go, all right, that's what I should have done, or that's a little bit much?
Yeah, he was probably doing what I was doing, crying for his mom, because, you know, that's tough. And then when you hear David Cameron giving the speech that President Obama should have given yesterday, that is tough to take. I think even him, you know, listening, watching to the speech, he sees the juxtaposition. David Cameron gets that this threat is real, that it is imminent. For some reason, we haven't arrived at that conclusion yet. And however, keep in mind that the British rarely panic, so they must have some serious, credible intelligence that there is an imminent and severe threat that they have to address. And if he's right, then what's going to happen? Obama, what's he going to do? Blame it on a video? I mean, he's going to have another Benghazi on his hands.
Yeah, their upper lip is always stiff. Not in this case. Josh Earnest, David Webb, Josh Earnest said, we are not at war. I mean, literally, he's right, but we are at war, aren't we? Was he right to say that?
I missed the part where shooting at each other is not a war.
Yes.
I suppose Chicago's a peace rally in black-on-black crime. Look, Josh Earnest is the White House liar-in-chief. That's pretty much what I call him. He goes out, he pushes out whatever they want to push. The facts be damned. Here's what Cameron didn't do. He didn't blame Bush. Notice he very clearly said, this didn't start in Iraq. This is an ideology that's been around for over 1,000 years, and it's ongoing march. This is its third iteration, the big rise of Islam. And by the way, I'm not going to ever beat Greg Gutfeld in a joke, but Obama talks mean, talks big, and he carries a putter, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right. I thought you were going to say carrot stick. I know, Bob. That's now 4. All right, that's our limit for today.
I had to get one more golf joke.
No more golf jokes. Jedediah,
Yeah.
is it most Americans wouldn't they prefer maybe a stress-free foreign policy over maybe a stress-free packed lunch?
Yeah, I mean, well, and look at all the stress we're going to have, because ultimately what's going to happen is this stuff's going to wind up on our doorstep. That's the difference. I think Cameron was saying, you know what, we got to deal with this now. We have to call terrorism what it is, because otherwise this winds up on our doorstep, something that our people have to deal with. So enough with the shenanigans. And for me, it was just, it illustrated the crisis of leadership we have in this country right now. We have a president that will not face what's happening and face that this could be an enormous consequence for this country, could be very dangerous unless he starts taking action. And he's up there talking about how he doesn't. But
let's talk about action.
Wait a second. Before we start taking action, we've been dropping bombs over there for the last.
He's declaring that he doesn't have a strategy.
No, that's wrong. That's not what he said. He said Syria didn't have.
Okay, he didn't have a strategy in Syria. So what does that say to everybody, Bob?
Well,
what does that say about
I said
our
it was a
president?
bad choice of words, but the fact is they haven't concluded a strategy.
Okay.
Well, they
so
did
you
their own
disclose
things.
that to everybody. You just disclose that to all of your enemies that you haven't concluded what the strategy
that's
should
one of the
be.
weakest
You know, there's dangerous people that listen to that talk.
Yeah,
there's leaders of ISIS that are
I'll give Webb
well-organized,
credit on this.
well-funded, that are
I
listening
tried to
to
get
our
this
president.
conversation yesterday. This ideology goes back 1,000 years, and they also dumped the Saudi kingdom. Now the Saudis are deciding whether they want to fight these guys or not. And I think the Saudis are going to come in on the side of us.
Yeah, but you talk about action. Here's what Britain's doing, and here's what Cameron's doing. They're going to rescind the passports.
Which is important.
You have 3,000 terrorists fighting for ISIS that you need to keep out of Europe, and here's why it's important. Yep. If you get to Europe, you can come to America. We have friendly relations.
That's the problem.
With passports.
Right.
So the 300 or so Americans, and by the way, let's keep killing the American terrorists who go over there. Find the Somalis that are missing in this country that are over there, kill them all, and then when it comes to the ones that come through Europe, stop them there, because if they get that passport and they get through, they come here.
I think it's
well, they've got them. The 3,000 that have them, they go home to Great Britain and then they turn around and fly in.
But here's the good news: we got all the bad guys in one place at one time.
Exactly. That's why I think.
So why should we hesitate? I mean, come on. It's like one big fat roach motel. Just knock it out, okay? That's the problem. When you have this kind of opportunity, you can't hesitate. They're not hesitating. That's all we're saying. Believe me, Bob, when I sit here and I tell you that I want our president to win, that I want him to make decisive actions against ISIS and not be politically naive when it comes to this situation, or wait too long to get polls or to do wind checking to see what's going to happen with his constituents. He knows the right thing to do.
Wait a minute. We're dropping thousands of tons of bombs a day.
Look, the spokesman for the Free Syrian Army said it best. He said dropping bombs and airstrikes against ISIS is like tickling them.
That's what they said.
It's not.
That's what they said in the Balkans, and they beat them.
Right. Actually, the problem they're just shifting. Here's the problem: you're going to have to take out Mosul with house-to-house fighting. Yeah. We're going to have to send in our special forces to train the Peshmerga to get them to fight. The Iraqi army's a mess. We're going to have to work to train them up. We're going to need contract. We're going to need operators. We're going to need intelligence. We've decimated our human intelligence network over there. We're finally starting to rebuild it, but you're not going to do this with airstrikes. And all we've done,
and you need to take out the command structure.
And when it comes to the mountain,
hey, how about the $200 million we spent to train this Iraqi army?
Oh, you know what? If we'd have stayed there and we'd have stayed in Iraq...
No. We trained an Iraqi army of 100,000 people.
And you know what we didn't do?
They ran.
And you know what we didn't do?
Bob, you know what?
Well, hang on. We didn't build an officer corps. We didn't build what's needed to sustain an army. So you get top-level, basically, generals, and you get foot soldiers. You don't have a structure that maintains an army.
Has something to do with doing away with the army when we got in there?
It has... Well, the army put down their guns and ran away when we got there.
No, I'm talking about when we first invaded. We disbanded the army, didn't we? Who was that guy with his...
I don't think David knows what he's talking about. No, I'm kidding. Very clear, very clear. I want to ask Jedediah, though, because this is part of the monologue idea. We're not rebuilding our military. We're unbuilding it. Is it time to reassess and to turn this thing around?
It's been time for a long time, but this president's not going to do that. That's not his priority. I mean, he's too busy worrying, as you said in your monologue, about what kids are eating and about control. He's talking about climate change. He's talking about far-left causes to appeal to his base. He's got one foot out the door in terms of this presidency. He's on his way out, and he's thinking about what his legacy is going to be to the far left. So, of course, it's horrific that we're downgrading our military. The United States should be be leading. The problem with this is that you have David Cameron coming out and making a statement that the American president, the leader of the free world, should be making. Should be firm on terrorism, should be firm on a strong military, and it's humiliating.
He doesn't want to get involved.
You think it's really breaking the military apart when you mothball a bunch of World War II ships? Is that really good?
Why would
they have a job?
Why would you degrade it?
No, yes, they have. And the idea, how much money we spend more money on the military than every other country combined.
Which is important because we're the best.
We're the best. We have more to do.
Do you want to be the second? Look, we've cut the budget in for the Zumwalt class destroyers, number one.
Which are useless.
No, they're not. I've been on one.
I know you've been. I don't care if you've been on one. They're useless. What are you going to fight ISIS? There's no water.
What do you think is the support?
There's no water. I mean, how are you going to fight them with the Zumwalt class?
What's your support platform when you don't have a base in Iraq? Your support platform is a carrier. It's ships.
That's
it's an
correct.
LHD.
Someone explain this concept
It's
to Mr.
got to have
Beckle.
water to have a ship.
Somebody send in the memo.
Well, okay.
How the military works.
Breaking news. You need water to have a ship. Thanks, Bob.
Well, it's good. I would go back to that Zumwalt if I were you.
You know, there was one ship that doesn't need water, and it's friendship.
Oh, that's fuzzy and warm.
Thank you. I am fuzzy and warm.
It's true.
Thanks to the medication. Fort Hood shooter wants to join ISIS. Why don't we let him?
Fly him over and parachute him in.
Exactly, and then kill him. He could be the inaugural member of the new 5 terror passport program. Send him there. Why don't we do that?
Let him go. I don't know. Eric Holder won't give him a curfew or a work furlough or something to send him over. But this is the exact problem. I mean, this is someone who was here, Bob, who was here and committed acts of terror against the United States.
Workplace violence.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Whoa, somebody throw the semantics flag down. I stepped out of line. Yeah. I mean, let's call it what it is. But we say, oh, nobody's here. We don't have any problems. Yeah. They are already here. And we have to be
one of those
prepared.
flights during airstrikes, let's take him and dump him out of the airplane.
I bet you say that a lot of those really hardcore ones have gone over. There's 12,000 now from around the world have gone there. And whether you agree with their bombing or not, they're all there. And they're never going to get a passport to get back at any place.
Well, no, that's okay. To that point, which is important, and I'll bring you in on this one, Jedediah. This is the problem with Snowden, in my view, is that if you have people with passports who are now going back and forth, we've compromised the programs that monitored these people. They know they're being monitored, don't they? So now the communication structure amongst these radicals has changed, and we owe that to Snowden and to Glenn Greenwald.
To an extent, I guess.
To a huge extent, Jedediah.
Yes, but still, as you're saying, all of these people are in one place, and the key here is that we're not doing anything about it. You can throw bombs in. If you have a scattered foreign policy with respect to your approach to this, it does nothing. If you don't have
before you have a foreign policy, you need a military success.
We won the Balkan War doing the same thing. We won the Balkan War doing the same thing.
You're dealing with terrorists now that are determined.
Oh, actually, the Serbs weren't terrorists?
They're determined to destroy us.
All right.
That'll get me in trouble with the Serbs.
Not just the West, the world, by the way. They're killing everybody. Next on The Five.
Yeah.